Hi, my loves. Today, I want to talk about something that might sound a little dramatic at first, but I promise there's a point to it. The original digital nomad dream, the version that was sold to you on Instagram and sold to me, is kind of dead. The $500 Bali villa, the laptop on the beach lifestyle, perpetual summer weather, and somehow working 2 hours a day while traveling the world. I'm guilty of selling it at one point, and I want to share how it's all shifted. That version of the digital nomad lifestyle doesn't really exist anymore. I've lived this lifestyle for over 8 years, coming from a corporate finance role in New York City. I've been running my online business from wherever I want. I surf regularly. I had my baby abroad in Brazil, and my husband and I have built a life that many people would call the dream. But if you're still following the 2018 digital nomad playbook, you might run into some roadblocks pretty quickly. What I actually want to do today is paint the picture of what's replacing that old version. What's emerging now is smarter, more sustainable, and a lot more freeing than the original idea ever was. Let's get into it. So when I first started traveling full-time, the formula felt really simple. Earn money in dollars, live somewhere cheaper, and suddenly your life feels incredibly abundant. For a while, that strategy genuinely worked, and I was so happy 8 years ago as a single backpacking gal, replacing my Manhattan rent with villa life by the beach in Bali for a fraction of the price. The geo arbitrage was very real. But then I remember the first moment where I thought, wait, something is changing. I was back in Bali post-pandemic and sitting at a cafe that used to be one of my go-to spots. I ordered a smoothie bowl and a coffee, something I had probably ordered hundreds of times before. And when the bill came, I actually did a double take. What used to cost about $10 was suddenly closer to $30 US. And then when I started asking about monthly rentals, villa prices in Canggu had also tripled. Friends who lived there locally were unfortunately getting priced out of their own neighborhoods, and some places were on par with the rent I was paying in Manhattan. It was insane. And this wasn't happening in just Bali. The same pattern was happening in Mexico City, Lisbon, and all of these places that had become digital nomad hubs. Post-pandemic, more people started working from their laptops, so the demand increased and naturally prices followed, especially where a lot of Americans were working online. They were still working for these really high-paying tech and finance jobs, and they were bringing their American salaries so easily abroad, so prices in many of these places increased drastically. At the same time, I noticed something else happening in the creator space, and I think it's because the audience matured. Instead of just watching dreamy lifestyle content, people began asking deeper questions like, how are you actually making money? What does this life look like long term? How do you have a family while traveling full time? And what happens when you're tired of moving all the time? The audience is no longer fooled by perfectly curated Instagram shots at dreamy destinations. They're over the long lines at waterfalls just to get the perfect shot. And naturally, the lifestyle had to evolve with it. So there are so many reasons why the old digital nomad model doesn't work the same anymore. Reason number one is that the cost arbitrage is shrinking in many old hubs. The original promise of the digital nomad lifestyle was to earn Western income and spend it in lower cost countries. While that still definitely exists, the gap has narrowed significantly, especially in places that have already adapted and they have better infrastructure and facilities to support foreigners. Bali is a perfect example. Rental prices for villas have increased dramatically over the last few years to the point where the cost honestly does not justify the experience. Other places like Puerto Escondido used to be the ultra-budget nomad haven, but once you factor in good housing, co-working spaces, and reliable infrastructure, it's not dramatically cheaper than many cities anymore. Plus, locals are noticing and they are not happy. These places are still incredible, but when the income disparity is glaringly obvious, you realize that being a foreigner isn't something you want to flaunt, and oftentimes you're not welcome. Reason number two is that visa rules are also changing. So for years, many nomads lived in a gray area. They would enter countries on tourist visas, work remotely, and leave every few months, but governments have started tightening regulations regulations. Some countries now offer digital nomad visas, which is great, but those visas often require proof of income, business structure, and documentation. And in a lot of countries, you can't just do a simple visa run anymore. In other words, these countries want to see that you have a real business, and it can be increasingly complicated to keep up if you are trying to work within the gray areas. Reason number 3 is that constant movement gets exhausting. There's a version of the digital nomad lifestyle where you move every month, and in my early 20s, it was definitely exciting. New apartment, new time zone, new friend group, new restaurants. When you're young and just starting out, that's what you naturally do. I came from a corporate background, and that's just what traveling meant to me, going to a new place for a few days or a few weeks. But after a while, the cognitive load adds up. And when you realize you have all the time in the world and all the years ahead of you, going to a new city every month doesn't really make sense. And especially now that I have a family, everything is different. There's a version of this type of traveling that can feel so grounded and so aligned, but there's also a version that just feels restless. And unless you're on something like a 1-year sabbatical, it really doesn't serve you in the long run, and it's easier to burn out. So from my experience, both personally and working with hundreds of entrepreneurs, a new model of this lifestyle has quietly emerged. I call it Nomad 2.0, and it's built around 3 pillars. Pillar 1 is a real online business, and more specifically, a real sustainable online business. A real business with a clear offer, documented income, a team working behind the scenes, and scalable systems. For me, everything changed when I started treating my business like a business and not just a creator hobby. That's when income stopped being tied directly to the hours I worked, and I was able to take months and months off for my maternity leave. Building automations, evergreen offers, digital products, and systems inside your business allows income to continue even when you're offline. And that's when the lifestyle started to feel truly free instead of being on a content creation hamster wheel and chasing after the next clients. The second pillar is slow travel. Instead of moving every few weeks, many nomads, myself included, now choose 2 or 3 home bases each year. So places where they stay for several months, build routines, and actually live. You're doing it from a place of grounding rather than constant motion, and you come back to the communities that you've nurtured and built up. For us, that looks like spending longer stretches in Brazil, time in England, and then periods in Southeast Asia. You get to integrate with the local community, and you really experience a place for all that it's worth and not just the tourist attractions. Pillar number 3 is financial freedom and location freedom and time freedom. So this might be the most important mindset shift. The original nomad culture was very focused on traveling to cheaper countries to capitalize on arbitrage, but Nomad 2.0 is different. Location freedom works alongside financial freedom, where you can truly travel without any financial restrictions, and you have more than enough to support your family through this lifestyle. I can think about raising my son in any country with access to the best education and best opportunities. It's not just a short-term quick win, it's a sustainable lifestyle that adapts to every chapter of your life without you having to sacrifice anything due to money. If you would like to start building this lifestyle for yourself, write down exactly how you make money right now. If you stopped working for 2 weeks, would income continue? And if the answer is no, your first focus should be building leverage into your own business. And if you don't have a business yet, join us in the Wanderlover Business Academy, where you get step-by-step guidance on how to make your first $5,000 online. Next is to choose your home bases. Instead of just picking places to visit, think about places you could actually live. Consider visa options, internet quality, cost of living, healthcare, and community. Then stay long enough to truly experience life there and fill your cup. 3 months is a great starting point, and you can always extend after. And finally, find your people. Do not try to build this life alone. Find communities, group programs, or events where people are building similar lifestyles, so you don't have to constantly explain yourself to those around you. The right community can accelerate your progress by years as you learn from their mistakes and also find a roadmap on how to get to where you want to be. I think the version of the digital nomad lifestyle that exists today is actually better than the highlight reel ever was. If you're just starting, focus on building the business first. If you're already nomadic and feeling some cracks, Slow down. I'm here to tell you that there's a version of this lifestyle that is full of time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom. I'll see you in the next episode. Have an amazing week, my loves.